following the Roy Burns incident, you yourself were deemed still a little bit crazy, but you would eventually see release.
Yeah, when they found out that I wasn't so crazy after all. But, the only problem was, man, I was still haunted. Still haunted by the memory of Jason. So, what I did is I took my buddy Hawes with me, and we went out to the cemetery. I was going to destroy Jason's remains.
And how did that turn out for you, TJ?
I thought I said don't call me that.
My apologies. Anyway, what happened?
I fucked up, Doc. I went to burn Jason's body. But, I had everything all okay until I did see his body. And I don't know, I freaked out. I had a violent flashback and I grabbed an iron rod. I stabbed his body several times. A bolt of lightning hits it and brings him back to life.
Sort of like Frankenstein.
Yeah, something like that.
So, what happened next? Did you rally a torch and pitchfork carrying mob?
Come on, get real, man. What I did is I went to the sheriff and I tried to get him to help. But you know what that did? That didn't go over so well. The only thing it did was landed me behind bars for the night. Luckily enough, if it wasn't for his daughter, she kind of came to my aid and she believed me enough to help me.
Oh, this sounds fun. Do I smell a love story?
What is up, clean freaks and filthy friends alike? Welcome to week 6 of the giant Friday the 13th Summer Series Extravaganza. This, as you already know, is the largest YouTube collaboration in regards to Friday the 13th. It's probably the second largest collaboration in regards to Friday the 13th, only after the Crystal Lake Memories documentary. That's a can of worms we're not going to get into right now. But you guys know by now, I'm not alone in this journey. I've got Good Real Hunting, Nick Cooling, Chase at Moser Movie Reviews, Robbie at Reviews and Rankings with Robbie Sobel, and we have the watch parties going on for Thank God It's Friday over at House of the Living Dead. Be sure to check all those out later today or when you have a moment. These are obviously things you know you're not going to want to miss, especially if you're a Friday fan. And we're getting into a big fan favorite this week. So real quick, after the lukewarm, at best, reception to A New Beginning. Fans, audiences, they fucking hated that shit, apparently. Why, I don't know. But, you know that film made back its budget tenfold. That is enough to prompt and warrant a new sequel. This time they get Tom McLaughlin, who is probably, at this point, only after Joseph Zito, in my opinion, the most qualified man to handle a Friday the 13th film, let alone a Friday the 13th sequel. He gives us one that is not only bringing back Jason properly, but it's also injecting a lot more fun into itself, where the last two films tried to play it a little more seriously. This time, he's like, no, we're going to have some fun with it. And when he was preparing to make this one, he did what I thought was actually a really smart idea. He goes, watches 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 back to back, locks himself in a room to do so. That way he knows exactly how to move forward without fucking anything up, and cannot thank the man enough for that. Anyway, let's get into Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Jason Lives came out in 1986, once again was directed by Tom McLaughlin, stars Thom Matthews, Jennifer Cook, David Kagan, and CJ Graham as Jason Voorhees. This is the third and final installment, canonically speaking anyway, of the Tommy Jarvis trilogy, and this is basically Tommy trying to put the past behind him in the best way possible. He says, you know, I've been haunted by the memory of Jason. I need to see that he's going to go to hell. That properly comes later. Anyway, he's now out of the asylum for the most part. I don't know if he broke out, if they let him out, whatnot. They don't properly explain that. But he takes one of his buddies, and they go to dig up Jason to confirm that he is in fact there. Tommy has other plans, however. He plans to cremate that son of a bitch in the ground he lays in. Of course, things go wrong. He has the flashbacks of his sister telling him to get the hell out of here. Him chopping up Jason with the die, die, die. I mean, you've got all that shit going on in his head as soon as he's looking at Jason, and Jason is a fucking mess at this point, guys. Got fucking spider webs, maggots, the whole 9 yards all over his face. Anyway, Tommy fucking snaps, grabs a fucking iron rod off the gate, stabs the bejesus Christ out of Jason Voorhees' body. Hollow as a motherfucker, mind you. Remember that. So he stabs the hell out of him. He's like, okay, we're good. Lightning comes. Brings Jason back to life in a very Frankenstein-y kind of way, and kills his buddy. And from there, this movie ensues into a really interesting, extremely fun time, where Tommy Jarvis is trying to essentially convince the sheriff of Forest Green. They decide to rename the town because Jason and Crystal Lake have become synonymous with each other to the point people don't want to live there. They want to put that shit behind them, so they are now Forest Green. So Tommy's trying to convince the sheriff, who's like, no, dude, you're fucking crazy. We don't want none of that shit here, and you're bringing it back. Get the fuck out. Sheriff's daughter eventually comes along, believes him, wants to get involved in helping figure it out, because she believes him. And from there, just fun madness ensues. You've got meta humor, which is amazing. You've got a very nice, almost gothic tone. And watching the special features for it, Tom McLaughlin even says something about how this film would look great in black and white. I have watched it in black and white, and fuck me sideways, it looks fucking great in black and white as well as in color. A lot of that, again, has to do with that rather gothic atmosphere that he incorporates into the film. And that's, of course, going to be a major positive here, folks. The gothic atmosphere, I think, really works on this film in every way. The characters are great. I mean, you've got Tommy Jarvis in his third incarnation, Thom Matthews this time, who, I gotta jump on it, Return of the Living Dead alumni. His character in that movie was called Freddy. By some sort of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, nod to the first film, we have Freddy versus Jason going on in this film. In some 6 degrees of separation kind of way. Anyway, back to what I was saying about the characters. Tommy Jarvis, man, is probably at his best here. He's a bit of an upgrade from the last time when we saw him, where he was a silent dude who knows kung fu and shit. The kung fu skills are gone. He's lost all interest in his mask making, apparently. He just wants to see Jason dead, and he will stop at almost nothing to get that point across. I think there's a great visible determination in him, in his performance, trying to see that Jason dies. And that's very admirable, because you know, you feel his desire to see Jason dead. And he really, I think, captures that pretty well. Now, Jennifer Cook, as the daughter of the sheriff, is a fun character. Jason Nike, my buddy, pointed out that she has this almost 30s, 40s kind of spunk to her, and she really does. And I'll even do you one more. She almost comes off as being like the Bond girl of Friday the 13th Final Girls. Like, there's something about Megan. She's a lot of fun, man. I think probably the funnest final girl, where Trish is probably the one that you think is probably the most, you could hang out and have a good time with her. Ginny is the smartest, most resourceful. Chris is just a badass. Alice is there. Pam has a magical sweater. But Megan is the funnest, I think, in terms of her character, the way she presents herself on screen, she just seems like a real joy to be around. I can see why Tommy's like saying, "Oh, don't come with me," but lets her come along anyway. I'd fucking love to have Megan with me. Megan's a fucking badass. She's not gonna take no shit, and the way she argues with her father really shows just that snappiness that Jason Nike talks about. There's just, I don't think I have a bad thing to say about Megan. Like, I kind of want to know more about her. I would have liked to see what she's doing. I mean, I think she has one of the most interesting futures ahead of her post the film she's in terms of Final Girls here. The sheriff, again, last week I said how Sheriff Tucker was probably the second most interesting badass sheriff. There's not a whole lot in these films. Sheriff Garris is just fucking awesome as a sheriff. He's very much like what Sheriff Meeker is to Halloween. Got the Halloween reference in there. I mean, there's just something about Sheriff Garris. You want him to just shut the fuck up, get off his not wanting to listen bullshit, get it through his thick skull that Jason is out there. Because he's a very likable sheriff, I think. I used to fucking hate him as a kid. But as I've gotten older and grown bitter, I've really come to appreciate Sheriff Garris. He's just a lot of fun. Again, he's got that fucking snappy dialogue.
You in show business, kid? You sure know how to make an entrance.
Well, he must have got chilly in the night and pulled the dirt back over.
Like, shit like that, it's like, dude, you're fucking amazing. It's a real shame when he gets killed over in this film. Deputy Rick is a lot of fun.
Wherever the red dot goes, you bang.
The teen cast, who are actually camp counselors, and we'll get to that in a minute. These counselors are actually a lot of fun here. They're all fun. They've got a lot of fun snappy back and forths with each other. And the kids that are at the camp, yes, they actually have kids at the summer camp here. I know they did in the first one, but you only see it for a glimpse in the opening. But in this one, kids at the summer camp is actually part of the plot. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 films in, it's about goddamn time. So there's a lot of fun going on there. You've got two of the counselors who take sort of a plot-related liking to one of the girls there, Nancy, who has a nightmare. Maybe associated with A Nightmare on Elm Street, but definitely named after Tom McLaughlin's wife. I know way too much about this fucking movie. But they have a little bit of fun there where they think that the John Travolta-looking kid, who's actually related to John Travolta, funny enough, they think that he's out there trying to scare them. He's fucking dead somewhere. So there's a lot of fun there. I mean, all the characters in this film, I don't think there's a character I don't like. I mean, the Gravedigger.
I have to go and dig up Jason. Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
Funny little guy, talks to himself, talks to us, the audience. I absolutely adore Martin. I love that bit when he's walking home drunk right before he gets killed off. And is he even walking home? Wherever the fuck he's walking to. He's singing. Throws the bottle. Jason catches it and puts an end to him. Really sad. He has in an alternate ending that they had set up for this, he had a really integral part of the plot, which would have been interesting going forward, but would have taken it into a sort of put them into the rabbit hole that Halloween got caught up in not too long after this film comes out. Those of you guys who know Halloween know exactly what I'm talking about. Shit would have just gotten all twisted and bonkers, so it's kind of a good thing they didn't take that route of Jason's father coming in and all that fun stuff. Jason himself, we gotta talk about the big man. Now, Jason is back. He's at that point, I think, where people really start to, when a lot of people think Jason, this is the style of Jason that they think about, not necessarily the Jason proper that they think about, but this is the kind of Jason they think about where he's this big, unstoppable killing machine. CJ Graham. Now, while his portrayal, I'm not going to talk about necessarily how I feel about his portrayal in the grand scheme of Jason portrayals, but he brings this real badass oomph to it. a lot of which he developed in the United States Marine Corps, where he's got that focus, and you really see that in the character. And when you learn that, you really do see it in his character, like the way he walks, the way he kills. Like, you actually see some of that Marine training coming through when he goes to stab at the one of the chicks at the beginning. I forget her name off the top of my head, but the director's wife. He goes to stab her at her in the windshield, and that training of his just causes him to take that bar and actually follow her. He was just supposed to stab the seat. He's like, they kept that in because that's just too fucking cool. His walk, Jason has a sense of urgency. He needs to get back to camp because it's that time. He's going to be late. He doesn't want to be. One thing also that I think CJ Graham does well, and it's not necessarily CJ Graham, but the look of Jason. Let's get into that real quick. The look of Jason. The mask is great. I think the rotted face is great. It's a nice pickup from where Jason would realistically be at this point after the final chapter, because we're not going to talk about the New Beginning deal, but with the final chapter ending, you know that Jason's dead. It's pretty cut and dry in the last film that Jason's dead. So the rotted flesh look on Jason is fucking amazing. Jason's threads, very much, you could tell they just buried him in the same shit he was wearing when he died. He picks up from Tommy the Home Depot special gloves, gets the tool belt, I think, from the paintball guy. A lot of people complain about that look. Just like with the Myers masks in 4 and 5, it's goofy, yes, but I can look past it. I think it's pretty cool that Jason has these. I don't mind the belt because he pulls fucking throwing knives out of that shit and fucking uses it. So it's like, hey, you know what? The belt came in handy. Sure, the gloves are whatever. I'm thinking the reason why they did the gloves, honestly, is a logical reason. And it's really having to do with probably the fact that they didn't want to fucking do up CJ's hands all the time. So it's like, dude, just fucking put on these gloves. And I'm thinking also that it might have something to do with that tongue-in-cheek humor that they were going for in this film. Let's get into that humor real quick, because I fucking love it. And it's not just the humor, but a lot of the meta references. I mean, you've got the next town over is Carpenter, the GOAT. You've got Cunningham Road, the Karloff's gas station. I know there's a few other things fucking thrown in there. I mean, you have a character trying to play this Jason card game called Camp Blood, where she wants to be like, okay, all these cards here are going to be cabins. They don't explain the rules properly, but it seems like it would have been an interesting, weird-ass game. It almost sounds like she helped them create the old NES game or whatever. You have, again, some absolutely fun back and forth dialogue among the characters. You get the fourth wall break by the Gravedigger, which is absolutely great. You have these two kids at the camp who are actually making jokes about, if this is as good as it gets, we're dead meat. And it recurs whenever Jason's at the camp. It's like, real dead meat. And of course, Dead Meat, the channel actually uses that as his intro, which is amazing. It's like, why wouldn't you? But those kids actually stood out to me a lot when I was a kid watching this film. Because it's like, these are, like, the whole idea of the kids actually at the camp really kind of affected me when I was a kid watching this. Because it's like, fuck, you're at that age. And you don't know if Jason's going to kill these kids. Fucking, he's called out of the cabin before he has a chance to fucking capitalize on that shit. So, you know, when you're a kid watching this one, you actually are, like, kind of on the edge of your seat. Like, fuck, no, please don't, please don't, please don't. It's going to ruin summer camp for me. I never went, probably because of these movies. Also, the score, again, by Harry Manfredini. Jesus Christ, this man is fucking knocking it out of the park. Really making me feel like a pompous ass about things. I really enjoy what he does with the music here. He doesn't do really, like in the last few films, he's been keeping with the same soundscape and just kind of tweaking on it. And this one, he kind of really changes it and does something almost completely different. And I think that this one stands out. This is one of the standout ones, I think. It has really its own feel. it really does incorporate that that sort of 30s 40s gothic feel, and that's just further accentuated by the fucking atmosphere of the film, and it accentuates it, vice versa. Also, you've got the great inclusion of some Alice Cooper music, and who the fuck doesn't love Alice Cooper? You're a fucking insane person if you don't. That's my opinion. The Constrictor album is actually very much linked to this. You have the song Teenage Frankenstein in here. He's Back, The Man Behind the Mask, Hard Rock Summer. You've got those songs. Hard Rock Summer wasn't on Constrictor, though. But it's so... I think that the Constrictor album is so synonymous with this film. Like, so much so to the point that in the credits of the Constrictor album, Frank Mancuso is thanked. Jason is thanked. This film and the album Constrictor by Alice Cooper, fucking synonymous. So the music on this is a win on all front. Like, if the score sucked, hey, at least you got Alice Cooper. Without Alice Cooper, hey, you still got this fucking awesome score. So the music, motherfucking out of the park on this one, dudes. The setting of the camp, I think this is probably, again, this is like the fourth rendition, roughly, of Crystal Lake, because Pinehurst is kind of just its own little place that exists. But I think the rendition of the campground here is one of the most interesting. It's actually a functional camp this time. I could buy it as being a renovated version of the same place that we had in the first film. If you don't think too hard about it, you can totally get into that kind of mindset perspective there. So the camp is definitely a big win. And again, actually having it as a functional camp with actual campers this time really helps it, I think, come to life in a lot of ways. Another great thing that Jason Lives has going on for it really is the kills that are in this film. Now, this is really the point, I think, where Jason Voorhees really comes into his own as sort of a, you could say a masterclass murderer, murder artist, whatever. This is the point where really, I think a lot of it is really credited to his undead nature at this point. The level of these kills, I think, compared to the previous films, are taking it to a whole new level, where sure, they were a fuck ton of iconic kills between 2, 3, 4. I mean, between 2, 3, and 4, man, there were some pretty iconic kills, but this is really the point where the kills come up to a certain point where Jason now has this new ability to make people die in much more painful ways. Like, you get a triple decapitation, you get him smashing a girl's head through the side of a camper, bends a man over, crushes a dude's skull with his bare hands. I mean, he's done that before, but I mean, some of the shit that Jason pulls off in this one, man, I don't think he's done that in the past. It's pretty great to see some of the kills in this one, man. It just shows that Jason's at a whole new level, and I think part of what I think that was done for was because Tom McLaughlin didn't want to see people try to duplicate it in the real world, because this is around the time when people were starting to get all crazy because media, whether it's music or movies, that's a whole different point for a whole other time. Another thing too, this is kind of where we start to veer off the full-blown positives to sort of the middle of the road. I know this is a point where some people are kind of like, is the Paintball group. I really enjoyed the Paintball group. I found most of them to be pretty enjoyable. I mean, Roy, the little dude with the glasses, he's a hoot to watch. Like, he's basically like a Looney Tunes cartoon put into a human being. Absolutely enjoy that. The other two guys who are going around whining.
Your trouble, Larry? That's why your sales are always behind quota. Your instinct to eat is stronger than your instinct to win. You're a real ass, you know that? Better than being all ass.
Like, those two guys bickering back and forth was great. Of course, you got the chick who's just badass.
With a woman's touch.
Now, wait a minute! I thought Bert shot you!
See any pain? Sorry.
And then you got Bert, this super misogynistic motherfucker. I like how he thinks he's a big badass.
Dumb broad! She tricked me! God, I'm gonna laugh for months!
should have stayed in the kitchen where she belongs. A woman shouldn't even be allowed in these games. Not a game, it's life.
A lot of people have issues with the smiley face that's exposed on the tree. Probably because I saw this movie when I was so young. I absolutely adore the smiley face on the tree. That's just some of the humor that was injected into this film. I love it. I get a kick out of that every time. There's another batch of characters too that were thrown in to add to the body count, and that was a forgettable man and forgettable girl, Steven and Annette. They're out in the middle of nowhere having a glass of wine, like he just proposed to or whatever. Jason, of course, comes and kills them. Those characters were needless. Their double impalement kills, whatever. I honestly forget that they're in this movie every fucking time. Now, I know I was praising the humor, but there is the flip side of that token where, while the humor does work for the most part, if I'm trying to watch this as a continuation of the canon that is especially Friday the 13th, 4, 5, and 6, I think really that the tone of this one is kind of it's an odd juxtaposition from the fourth one. And I guess that kind of works with 5 being that 5 is kind of silly but still kind of serious, where 4 is super serious. There's something about the tonal shift in the little Tommy Jarvis trilogy that's a little bemusing. I thought that was worth pointing out there. I don't know if anyone else kind of notices that weird little shift. I really do like also the way that Tommy decides that he's going to put an end to Jason, to put him back where his initial resting place was, at the bottom of Crystal Lake. I mean, that makes sense. We gotta destroy it the way it was created. I think that it was pretty cool to try to put Jason back at the bottom of the lake, and just the execution of the third act I thought was very enjoyable. You've got Tommy and Megan at the camp trying to lure Jason away from the kids. It was absolutely great. Of course, the police are there thinking that Tommy's the killer. And that's a whole other thing, too. Just the frustration and desire to want to see Tommy win is because the police believe that he's the killer, and you want to see him succeed before the police could even get their hands on him. It's really fucking amazing there with the story. The last shot, too, of this movie, after Jason's been fucking put down in the lake. Real quick, the way that lake was set on fire, holy shit. But anyway, the shot of Jason at the bottom of the lake after everything's said and done, it's just still down there with his eye open. It's like, there's just something absolutely fucking haunting about that. So moving on to the filthy features, as always, we start with the favorite kill. And my favorite kill in this one, god man, this is where the kills get really insane. I might have to go with, I'm gonna have to go with Sheriff Garris' kill. Sheriff Garris might be my favorite character in this movie, and it sucks to see him die. There's just something about his death that's one of the most painful to watch. I'm actually getting pain in the center there just thinking about it. But the way he's, first of all, the way he's fighting off Jason, because he notices that Jason is going to the sound of Megan's voice. He's like, that's my daughter, you fuck. Jumps out of the bushes, starts fighting Jason. They have a nice little scrap until Jason's like, oh, you know what? I've got the superhuman power. And he just fucking bends him over almost like a lawn chair, but in reverse. If that makes sense, but he's folded the exact opposite direction that a human body ought to be folded. The sound design on that kill, too, is just fucking amazing. The sound of the bones cracking, just absolutely, you don't want none of that. But yeah, Sheriff Garris' kill probably is going to be the winner. There were quite a few good contenders in this one, but I honestly believe that's going to be the proper winner. Moving on to the Smutty SightINGS. Nope. Not today, not really. I mean, it's like PG-13 fucking sightings, man. We got a sex scene in the camper. with Darcy DeMoss. She was told to, I think it was something in her contract where there's no nudity. So she's riding John Travolta's little nephew, whatever, and she's got her shirt on the whole time, and honestly, I think that was just a little bit hotter than fucking these naked ass scenes. Because Darcy DeMoss, Jesus Christ, fucking spoiler for the next deal coming up, but she's fucking gorgeous. I think I'd take her with a shirt, without a shirt, fucking, I don't care any which way, man. Moving on to the Friday the 13th exclusive features, we are starting with what is definitely my favorite. That is going to be the TGIF Pinup Girl. You guys know the drill here, and I already gave this away. It's going to be, without a doubt, Darcy DeMoss as Nikki. Just absolutely amazing. Again, brunette. Sure, she gets a little bitchy, but she didn't get off, man. Fucking Court up and gets off in her before she has a chance to. I could understand why she's bitchy.
Wait a second, Court, you didn't already.
Oh, come on, wasn't that the end of the song?
Now, she looks like a pretty cool chick. I mean, we only get her really for the scene, for the fuck scene and the scene shortly thereafter. If Court wasn't such a fucking man-child, I'm sure she would have been a down-to-earth chick, man. I absolutely love her. She's probably my favorite one in here, and God, just about all the chicks in this film are pretty banging too, man. But like I don't even have to think about it, man. Fucking Darcy DeMoss as Nikki, just fucking yes, thank you, please. And moving on to my Crystal Lake memory of Jason Lives. Now, again, I was probably about 8 or 9, I believe, when I saw this one. I had already seen Jason X in part 3, maybe part 2. All I know is this was like one of the earliest Friday the 13th films I had seen. Again, this one was my introduction to the Tommy Jarvis trilogy. And I remember I had heard of this one through that one documentary that's in Jason X on the special features. It's the Many Lives of Jason Voorhees, I believe. They're talking about it, and it was either Todd Farmer or Joe Bob Briggs said something about, there's a debate that in Jason Lives, Jason becomes zombie, and now that I say that, that was definitely Todd Farmer talking about it. So, me as a dumb kid, I'm thinking that Friday the 13th Part 6 is called Jason Lives, Jason Becomes Zombie. I'm like, wow, that makes sense for a movie. Title rolls off the tongue just perfect. Anyway, rented at the video store, and mind you, it's fucking VHS. Got that classic cover art right there. And it's one of those ones where they had like the old slip box, but they had the little hard plastic over it, so it was a pain in the ass to get your fucking tape out of there. But I watched that, and the group of kids next door came over to watch it with us, because, again, if you guys know like, back in those days, like, sometimes a horror movie was like a fucking event in the old trailer park I used to live in when I was a kid. Some of the kids from next door come over, and so it's me, them, and my brother. We're all watching it. Like, it's just one of those things where I can't think of that whenever I watch this movie. Like, I can't not think of that. So my Crystal Lake memory on this one is really just one that takes me back. Just reminds me of a much simpler time in life. In closing, guys, Friday the 13th Part 6 Jason Lives is, I'd have to say fun is probably the best way to sum up this film in a single word. This movie is just absolute blast to watch. I have, sure, sometimes I prefer the much more serious tone of Part 2 or Part 4, but there's just something about the level of fun that is to be had in Part 6 that always brings me back. If I'm having a shitty day and I feel like watching Jason rip people apart, you bet your tits this is the one I'm going to watch. This one has often been on the higher end of my rankings. It's one of the ones that's always going to be the closest to my heart for several reasons, one of which being the Crystal Lake memory that I told you guys. This one just, It's the feel-good movie of the bunch, honestly. I have not really anything truly horrible to say about it, and I don't think anyone really should. Now, I get that this one's not everybody's bag. If you're looking for a serious Friday the 13th movie to watch, then maybe not watch this one, but this one's worth watching just for the experience and for the fun. And plus, Alice Cooper, guys, come on. But as always, thank you all for watching. Please be sure to like and share this video, and if you have not already, go ahead and stab the fuck out of that subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out the other Friday the 13th Part 6 Jason Lives content going on today. Of course, we've got the video by Good Real Hunting, Chase at Moser Movie Reviews, Nick Cooling, Reviews and Rankings with Robbie Sobel, and later tonight, the watch party over at House of the Living Dead for Jason Lives. Be sure to check all those out. If you guys are feeling extra filthy, go ahead and leave a comment down below. What do you guys feel about the tonal direction of this movie? Was it a little too much on the silly side? Not enough gothic atmosphere going on? Tell me what you guys think about this one. Also, be sure to check out these social media links here. We've got the Facebook page, Instagram, Letterboxd, Twitter, Patreon, and the Stream Demons fan page over on Facebook. And until next time, guys, stay filthy.